AgWeek Weather is sponsored by Bremer Bank. Connect with a banker today at bremer.com.
What will the weather be like as we head into the heart of August? Here's John with our Agri-weather outlook.
The weather pattern, specifically the jet stream weather pattern through the month of August, continues to be discombobulated is the best word I can think of to explain what's happening. The jet speeds are generally speaking fairly weak, but there are curves and tortures and splits, and it's just a mess. It's really kind of like a wintertime pattern that has a polar vortex disruption, except those are wintertime phenomenon. So it's kind of like that. What that means is that we're seeing areas of unusual weather activity around the United States and southern Canada. Generally speaking, the excessive heat that much of the country was having back in July has been suppressed, but it is generally warmer than average, especially throughout the Great Plains and in particular throughout the Rocky Mountains. It's the precipitation that's beginning to start to be impacted by this unusual jet stream pattern, and in particular, the nation's corn and bean belt is showing some evidence that it's starting to dry out here toward the end of summer. Here's what I mean by a kind of a messed up flow pattern. It's really split into, these are kind of what I would call the cores of strongest winds, and they're generally speaking not very strong, but it is allowing for some cool weather back up around Hudson Bay. Most of the United States is pretty warm. A little bit of onshore flow along the west coast has produced some cooler weather there. Hot temperatures, 90 and above, are mostly confined to the high plains, the southern states. The southeast is not unusually warm, although it's very humid, and much of the west has been and will continue to be quite warm. There's a limited surge of cool weather coming into the Canadian Maritimes, but that will stay pretty far north. In this pattern, hurricane activity is mostly deflected out into the Atlantic unless something comes into the Gulf, so that'll limit rainfall chances across the deep south, especially around Texas. And I think in general, underneath this ridging over the south and west, things are going to be fairly dry. There will be, in this odd little mix mash of jet stream winds in the northern plains, be some opportunities for some scattered thunderstorms at times, especially as we start getting into this southwest flow pattern. But I don't see anything really sustaining itself. On into the final week of August, we are starting to see some cooler weather building up outside of Alaska, pushing down into northwestern Canada. No sense that'll drop too far south just yet. And most of the United States is warmer than average, although not excessively so. Now, where will the rains be with this type of a pattern? This first week, there will be some Pacific Northwest rain. There will be some thunderstorm opportunities in the northern plains, but a lot of the Midwest, especially through here, it will be fairly dry. East Coast looks wet. And the last week of August will continue the generally dry weather throughout the plains and upper Midwest.